At least 4 dead after Russia strikes in eastern Ukraine. Over 60 dead in Pakistan following heavy rains and flooding. Good afternoon and Salam Malaysia Madani. This is World Today and I'm Sahih. A strike by Russian forces on Wednesday afternoon on a shopping centre and market in Dorplilia killed 4 people, injured at least 27 and caused widespread damage. Ruslan Osipenko, head of the National Police in the Eastern Donetsk region, said a 500-kilogram bomb was deployed at 5:20 p.m. local time. Osipenko said the attack killed 4 and injured at least 27, damaged 75 buildings, including 54 pavilions, 13 apartment buildings and 8 vehicles. President Volodymyr Zelensky, speaking in his nightly video address, described the attack as simply horrific Russian terror. He added that there is no military logic to their strikes, only an effort to take as many lives as possible. Grobopilia lies northwest of Provoksk, a focal point for months of Russian forces' slow advance westward through Donetsk region. An attack on Grobopilia with missiles, rockets and drones in March killed 11 people, including 5 children. On another note, Ukraine's parliament voted on Thursday to appoint Yulia Sudenko as the country's new Prime Minister. Sudenko wins with a comfortable majority of 262 votes from 456 Parliament. Her appointment was supported by President Volodymyr Zelensky as part of his biggest government reshuffle since Russia's invasion began in February 2022. Sudenko, 39, has served as Economy Minister and one of Ukraine's Deputy Prime Ministers since November 2021. Zelensky said he wanted his reshuffled cabinet to focus on deregulation, expanding economic cooperation with the allies, and stronger punishments for those who threaten Ukraine's statehood. Sudenko has experience working with top officials in Washington, having negotiated and signed a deal with Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent in April that gave the US preferential access to new Ukrainian minerals deals and will help fund investment in Ukraine's reconstruction. Pakistan National Disaster Management Authority (NDMA) said it has deployed helicopters as Punjab declared a state of emergency following heavy rains and widespread flooding that claimed at least 63 lives in the province on Thursday. Since the start of the monsoon season on 26 June, the death toll in Punjab has reached 103 with 393 injured. Army helicopters have been dispatched to rescue people stranded by floodwaters in Rawalpindi, Chakwal and other affected areas. Punjab Chief Minister Mariam Nawaz announced an emergency in multiple districts, including Rawalpindi and Chakwal, due to the deteriorating weather conditions. Meanwhile, residents in the high-risk areas have been ordered to evacuate after water levels rose sharply. Continuous heavy rainfall also caused a dam to burst, triggering landslide that posed a threat to residents' lives. In addition, several victims died due to electric shocks and building collapses. Rescue operations also involved the use of military helicopters to evacuate flood victims trapped in several areas. Monsoon rains are a routine part of the South Asia's climate and are essential for crop irrigation and replenishing water supplies. However, their adverse impact has worsened in recent years due to rapid urban expansion, poor drainage system, and more frequent extreme weather events linked to climate change. India State Disaster Management Authority confirmed that monsoon caused a total of 109 deaths between 20th June and 16 July in Himachal Pradesh. Of these, 64 people lost their lives in rain-related incidents, while 45 died in road accidents, underlining the extensive human toll of this year's monsoon fury. According to the report from the State Emergency Operations Centre (SEOC) issued on 17th July, 226 roads, including National Highway 707 near Uttari, remain blocked primarily due to landslides and heavy rainfall. Additionally, 52 distribution transformer regions and 137 water supply schemes have been disrupted across districts like Mandi, Kulu, Kangra and Sirmau. The data compiled by SEOC highlights that rain-related deaths occurred due to landslide, flash floods, cloudbursts, electrocution, snake bites and falls from steep slopes. The worst hit districts in terms of rain-linked fatalities include Mandi and Kangra, each reporting 16 deaths. 2 days of heavy downpours in South Korea have killed at least 4 people and forced more than 1,300 others to evacuate, officials said Thursday. One person was killed when their car was buried by soil and concrete after a retaining wall of an overpass collapsed in Osan, just south of Seoul, during heavy rain on Wednesday. Meanwhile, 3 other people were separately found dead on Thursday in a submerged car, a stream and a flooded basement in southern regions. Some parts of South Korea were inundated by heavy floods following intense rainfall. Ministry officials said they were still investigating whether those deaths were directly caused by heavy rain. The ministry said in a statement, the heavy rain has forced the evacuation of 1,382 people from their homes, adding 46 flights have been cancelled. Parts of southern city Changcheong province have received up to 16.5 inches of rain since Wednesday. Some 403 schools were closed and 166 reported property damage from the heavy rain. White House Press Secretary Kerana said on Thursday the United States was seeing a continuing de-escalation of sectarian violence in southern Syria following days of deadly clashes that killed hundreds of people.
The president still supports Syria's pathway to a peaceful and prosperous country, and you received an update directly from the Secretary of State on the ongoing situation between Syria and Israel. I spoke to him myself this morning to get an update, and as soon as the United States became involved in this conflict, we were able to de-escalate, de-conflict. That seems to be continuing. Syria agreed to draw back their troops that were in the area where that clash was ongoing, and we continue to be very actively monitoring the situation.
On Thursday, Syrian leader Ahmed al-Shara accused Israel of trying to fracture Syria and promised to protect its Druze minority after U.S. intervention to help achieve a truce in fighting between government forces and Druze fighters. Malaysia strongly condemned the recent Israeli Zionist regime airstrikes in Syria and Lebanon, describing them as a clear violation of the sovereignty and the territorial integrity of both countries. A statement issued on Thursday, the Foreign Ministry, widely known as Wisma Putra, said the attacks in Damascus and Druze city of Syria, as well as in the Bekaa Valley of Lebanon, were a violation of the United Nations Charter, humanitarian law and international human rights law. Meanwhile, Malaysians located in areas affected by Israel's attack in Syria and Lebanon are advised to seek consular assistance if needed. In its statement, Wisma Putra also stressed that the international community must not remain silent in the face of Israel's continued aggressive actions against other countries which threaten regional and global peace and security. Malaysia also urges the UN Security Council to fulfill its responsibility to end the cycle of violence in order to achieve lasting peace and stability in the region. Spain's Guardia Civil released footage on Thursday of firefighting efforts in Toledo following intense wildfires. The fire spread rapidly, fueled by scorching temperatures and gale force winds, prompting authorities to issue safety notices. According to Spanish emergency services, the blaze had engulfed approximately 3,000 hectares of land. The Civil Guard has evacuated dozens of people in Metrida and Calipo Fado, and authorities estimate that more than 2,500 hectares of grassland and agroforestry areas have been affected. Meanwhile, eyewitness footage shot on Thursday shows air tankers loading water in the San Juan Reservoir and San Martin de Valdegracias, Madrid, to combat wildfires. Inhabitants in the affected regions were advised to stay indoors and keep windows closed to avoid inhaling smoke and ash. According to a report in the Associated Press, Madrid registered a temperature of 37 degrees Celsius on Thursday, with the majority of Spain still under heat and fire risk warnings. A fire tore through a newly opened shopping mall in the eastern Iraqi city of Ikuti overnight, killing at least 69 people. Officials said many of the victims suffocated in bathroom due to lack of oxygen. The blaze, the latest in a country where safety regulations are frequently neglected, broke out late on Wednesday and lasted into the early morning. The cause was not immediately known, but one survivor said an air conditioner had exploded on the second floor before rapidly engulfing the 5-story Corniche hypermarket mall in flames. A civil defense spokesperson told the state media that the fire erupted in the perfume and cosmetics section on the second floor. Most victims were on the upper floors, while many on the ground floor managed to escape. Civil defense team rescued more than 45 people who were trapped inside the building, which includes a restaurant and a supermarket. Safety standards in Iraq's construction sector are often disregarded, and the country, whose infrastructure is in disrepair after decades of conflict, often experiences fatal fires and accidents.
Bersihkan penapis penghawa dingin dan tetapkan 24 darjah Celsius untuk lebih jimat.
Still to come, US passes Genius Act, first major national crypto legislation.
Kemeriahan perpaduan Madani kini kembali. Pelbagai aktiviti menarik menanti anda. Persembahan artis, pameran dan perkembangan etnik, jualan Madani, Food Unite, 50% diskaun saman PDRM, sukan rakyat dan macam-macam lagi. Ayuh ke sambutan Minggu Perpaduan Peringkat Kebangsaan pada 17 hingga 20 Julai 2025 di perkarangan Stadium Negeri Batu Kawan, Pulau Pinang. Masuk adalah percuma, sama-sama raikan harmoni dalam kepelbagaian.
Welcome back. British police said on Thursday one child was killed after a collision involving a bus carrying school children in Somerset, southwest England. Avon and Somerset police said the bus was carrying 60 to 70 people and was heading to Minehead Middle School at the time of the crash. Police declared the collision a major incident, meaning an event with serious consequences requiring special arrangements from emergency services. A number of people were seriously injured, including 2 children who were taken to hospital by air ambulance.
A number of other people have presented or been taken to hospital, some with serious injuries. This includes 2 children who were taken to hospital by air ambulance. Many passengers either sustained minor injuries or were being physically unharmed and were transferred to a rest centre. Work to help them return to Minehead has been taking place throughout the evening.
South Western Ambulance Service NHS Foundation Trust confirmed they sent 46 resources to the scene, including 20 double-crewed ambulances, 3 air ambulances, a command team and 2 hazardous area response teams. While Devon and Somerset Fire and Rescue Service admitted the mission to rescue the trapped people in the bus was a complex and technically difficult incident. 16 and 17-year-olds celebrated their newly granted right to vote in all UK elections on Thursday, but cautioned that proper education was vital to boost turnout and protect young voters from political misinformation on social media. In a major overhaul of the country's democratic system, the government said the proposed changes were part of an effort to boost public trust in democracy and would align voting rights across Britain, where younger voters already participate in devolved elections in Scotland and Wales.
I think our opinion is strong enough to have the right to vote because, 2 years, it is a long time. 16 to 18 is quite like a maturity jump, but I think a lot of people, even from a very young age, have very strong opinions and they think their opinion should be heard.
And I know loads of other people who feel the same, who are really interested in politics and get frustrated at watching all the older people vote. And I just think it will be really amazing because so many of these policies affect younger people and they have to just sit and watch and don't have much of a voice. But now they'll be able to do something about it.
There are about 1.6 million 16 and 17-year-olds in the UK. Just over 48 million people were eligible to vote at the last election, in which turnout fell to its lowest since the year 2001. The next election is due in 2029. The US House of Representatives on Thursday passed a bill to create a regulatory framework for US dollar-pegged cryptocurrency tokens known as stablecoins, sending the bill to President Donald Trump, who is expected to sign it into law. The vote marks a watershed moment for the digital asset industry, which has been pushing for federal legislation for years and poured money into last year's election in order to promote pro-crypto candidates. House lawmakers also passed a bill developing a regulatory framework for crypto that will move on to the Senate for consideration. The stablecoin bill, dubbed the Genius Act, received bipartisan support, with many Democrats joining Republicans to back the proposed federal rules. The vote on the market structure bill, known as the Clarity Act, was also notably bipartisan. Stablecoins, a type of cryptocurrency designed to maintain a constant value, usually a $1 peg, are commonly used by crypto traders to move funds between tokens. Their use has grown rapidly in recent years, and proponents say that they could be used to send payments instantly. If signed into law, the stablecoin bill would require tokens to be backed by liquid assets such as US dollars and short-term treasury bills, and for issuers to publicly disclose the composition of their reserves on a monthly basis. Mark Zuckerberg and current and former directors and officers of Meta platform agreed on Thursday to settle claims seeking $8 billion for the damage they allegedly caused the company by allowing repeated violations of Facebook users' privacy. The parties did not disclose details of the settlement, and defense lawyers did not address the judge. Kathleen McCormick of the Delaware Court of Chancery adjourned the trial just as it was to enter its second day, and she congratulated the parties. Shareholders of Meta sued Zuckerberg, Anderson, and other former company officials, including former Chief Operating Officer Sheryl Sandberg, in hopes of holding them liable for billions of dollars in fines and legal costs the company paid in recent years. The Federal Trade Commission fined Facebook $5 billion in 2019 after finding that it failed to comply with a 2012 agreement with the regulator to protect users' data. Meta investors alleged in the lawsuit that former and current board members completely failed to oversee the company's compliance with the 2012 FTC agreement. They also claimed that Zuckerberg and former Chief Operating Officer Sheryl Sandberg knowingly ran Facebook as an illegal data harvesting operation. The case followed revelations that data from millions of Facebook users were accessed by Cambridge Analytica. France handed over control of its last major military facility in Senegal on Thursday, marking the end of its armed forces' long presence in the West African country and a milestone in a withdrawal from the wider region. The commander of French forces in Africa, General Pascal Yanni, handed over a key to the military camp in Dakar during a ceremony at which a Senegalese flag was raised. Senegalese President Bassirou Diomaye Faye announced last year that France's military bases were incompatible with Senegalese sovereignty and would have to be transferred. The two countries agreed to complete that process by the end of the year, and it began in March when France handed over two other facilities also in Dakar. The process has been more amicable than the departure of French soldiers from Mali, Burkina Faso and Niger. With a reduced presence in West and Central Africa, France has said it is planning to focus on training, intelligence sharing and responding to requests from countries for assistance. Mir news agency MNA reported Iran's civil aviation organization announced that all airports across the country have resumed normal operations and the country's airspace is once again open to international overflights around the clock. The Public Relations Department of Iran's Civil Aviation Organization stated that following the resolution of the Civil Aviation Coordination Committee and thorough safety and security evaluations under current conditions, all airports in the country are operating as usual and are ready to provide flight services to the public. According to the decision made, Mehrabad International Airport will serve passengers from 4 a.m. to 7 p.m. local time daily. However, training and recreational flights remain suspended until further notice. The reopening is expected to ease regional air traffic disruptions and restore connectivity after recent restrictions. Sirens wailed, roads emptied and people were ordered to stay indoors in Taiwan's capital Taipei on Thursday during an annual air raid exercise aimed at preparing for a Chinese missile attack. Sirens sounded at 1:30 p.m. local time to mark the start of the mandatory street evacuation drills, which effectively shut towns and cities across northern Taiwan for 30 minutes. In Taipei's Ximending shopping district, tourists were caught off guard by the siren as they were ushered indoors and underground to take cover. During the drill, police in Taipei directed vehicles to move to the side of the roads. Some shops and restaurants pulled down shutters and turned off lights, steps aimed at reducing the risk of becoming a target in the event of a nighttime attack.
Yes, because we don't have drills like this back in the Philippines. We just have earthquake drill. But about missiles, so it's quite like alarming to read about that, and then quite nervous.
China, whose government views democratically governed Taiwan as its territory over the island's rejection, has ramped up its military pressure over the past 5 years. Taiwan President Lai Ching-te rejects Beijing's sovereignty claims and says only Taiwan's people can decide their future.
Padamkan komputer untuk lebih penjimatan.
In sports, reigning MotoGP champion Jorge Martin returns after nearly 4 months' injuries. We kick off our sports segment with soccer news. Bayern Leverkusen became the first Bundesliga club to stage a pre-season tour in South America, visiting Rio de Janeiro from 14th to 24th July. Under the motto, Escuenta or warm-up, Leverkusen prepared for the new campaign at Flamengo's training facility.
It's not usually that European clubs visit Brazil to make a training camp, and we are probably the first one to do this, and I think it's special and we feel that, and it brings us energy. For the game tomorrow, no, I don't know any player of Flamengo under 20, but I'm sure that there is a strong team. My analyst already told there are very good players in, they have a good team.
According to the Bundesliga website, Leverkusen has been diligently building its Brazilian connection in recent years, including launching Portuguese-language digital channels and opening the Bayer 04 Football Academy Sao Paulo. The tour marked Leverkusen first under new head coach Erik ten Hag, who replaced Xabi Alonso in May, and includes a friendly match against Flamengo's U20 team at the Estadio da Gavia. Reigning MotoGP champion Jorge Martin said on Thursday that he feels happy to be back and well prepared ahead of making his long-awaited return from injuries at the Czech Grand Prix this weekend. Wrist and ankle injuries sustained in a pre-season crash ruled him out of the first 3 rounds before another crash in his first race on board the Aprilia bike in Qatar in April led to a collapsed lung and bruised ribs.
Well, first of all, I feel prepared. I feel, in terms of the physical condition, I feel better than any time in my life. For sure, I need a lot of hours of motorbike. I need a lot of hours on my RSGP. But in terms of the physical side, mental side, I work a lot. I took profit of this time off, let's say, to work on me, on my performance, and I feel I am a better and more prepared rider now.
Martin also announced that he will remain with Aprilia and honour his 2-year contract by staying for the 2026 MotoGP season, a marked U-turn from previous comments made by the Spanish rider. In WRC, Carl Rovanperä laid down an early marker at Delphi Rally, Estonia by topping Thursday's shakedown, outpacing Takamoto Katsuta by 0.9 seconds in the WRC's first taste of high-speed gravel this season. The Finn, a 3-time winner of the event, saved his best for last after opening with a 1 minute 59.6 seconds effort. Rovanperä improved steadily before setting the benchmark on his third pass in 1 minute 56.3 seconds. Thierry Neuville led the Hyundai charge in third, just 0.1 seconds slower than Katsuta, while local hero Ott Tanak placed fourth. Tanak had briefly topped the times with a 1 minute 57.8 seconds run, but was shuffled down the order as others improved. Oliver Solberg recorded the 5th best time ahead of Martin Sess in the M Sport Ford. Toyota's Alfyn Evans was 7 and Hyundai's Adrian Fourmeau could only make the top 10. Evans lead the championship with 150 points, while Sebastian Ogier follows closely with 141 and in third place Ott Tanak 138. On to cycling, Tadej Pogačar unleashed a vintage assault on the unforgiving slopes of Hattacam, crushing the Tour de France 12th stage and leaving chief rival Jonas Vingegaard gasping for air on Thursday. 2-time Tour winner Vingegaard finished 2 minutes and 10 seconds behind Pogačar and now trails of the defending champion by a massive 3 minutes 31 seconds after the first high mountain stage. It was a sweet revenge for Pogačar, who was humiliated by Vingegaard on the same climb 3 years ago. German Florian Lipowitz took third place after the 180.6-kilometer ride from Auch, 13 seconds behind Vingegaard. Podium hopeful Remco Evenepoel was dropped early in the Col du Sula, showing his limits in the first high mountain stage. Although he fought his way back in the descent, the Olympic champion cracked in the final climb and now sits 4 minutes 45 seconds behind Pogačar, still in the third place overall. Simon Yates and Matteo Jorgensen, 2 of Vingegaard's lieutenants for the mountain stages, also struggled and were of no help to their leader when it mattered. Frenchman Bruno Amirel, the last survivor of the morning breakaway, reached the foot of the climb to Hattacam with a 2-minute lead over the favourites group. Vingegaard managed to stay within 20 seconds for 4 kilometres before fading as Pogačar cut through the stuffiness. His advantage continued to grow, breaking the 2-minute barrier as Vingegaard crumpled. Pogačar will now be looking for a 4-stage victory in Friday's mountain time trial, a 10.9 kilometres effort up the Para Guts. And that concludes our bulletin this afternoon. A recap of our headline: Russian bomb left at least 4 dead and injured 27 in eastern Ukraine. Do join us again tonight at 8:30 p.m. on TV1 and saluran Berita RTM for more news. Or if you miss, you can stream us again online on RTM Click's website and mobile application. I'm Syed Samsudin, Madani, Rakyat, Disantuni. Thank you for watching.